Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. Well, my goal for you in this week's guitar lesson is for you to be able to improvise over this gospel-sounding blues composition. We're going to be jumping into the major scale, the major pentatonic scale. We'll be touching on the minor pentatonic scale, but this will be all stuff that you're probably already familiar with, and I'll show you how to put it in context to something like this. Even though this isn't your typical 12-bar blues, the same principles will apply. Now, this lesson comes with the tablature and the MP3 jam track so that you can practice with. In this video, we're going to learn the first half of that solo. If you'd like to learn the second half, as well as get those downloadable assets and watch the part 2 video, you're going to want to go to ActiveMelody.com, go to the lessons page, and do a search for EP210. That's a lesson number for this lesson. So let's go ahead and get started with part 1. Alright, so let's start off by talking about the key that this song is in. Now this is in the key of C. That first chord is a C chord, then it goes to an E7, then it goes to an A minor, then it goes to an F, and it keeps cycling through chords. And I'm not going to go over the chords in this because I think that will lose a lot of you. And that's really not the goal of this lesson. Now the chords are listed out in the tablature, so if you want to play along with the rhythm, you can do that that way. But what we're going to be doing is, instead of playing chord changes, meaning we're not going to be changing our scale every time to match the chord, we're just going to be playing in the key that the song is in. So we're just going to be playing in the key of C. It doesn't matter what those chords change to. We're just going to stay in C. And I'll explain this as we go through it. So here's how I think about setting this up. I think of that, first of all, finding a home base. Where do we start this thing? Well, if it's in this key of C, and you bar here on the 8th fret, that becomes your C major bar chord. So these three fingers are making the E chord shape. If you played an E down in first position, you slide it all the way up, you capo it here with your finger, that is a C chord shape. So then your 8th fret is your root fret. And I know this will be repetition for some of you, but your minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1, is right there, right? So that means your major pentatonic scale, pattern 1, would be 3 frets this way from what we just played. So instead of going, we slide it down 3 frets and do the whole thing. That's your major pentatonic scale, pattern 1 for the key of C. And that works for all 5 patterns, by the way. It's not just pattern 1. You can take any of those patterns, you know, from the minor pentatonic scale and shift them down. Now, why do I start with a minor pentatonic every time? I think it's because that's the most comfortable for most of us, myself included. I always start there and then I kind of branch to where I need to go. So that's how I think of setting it up. Okay, so there's the key we're in. So another way to think about it is your pinky is touching on your root fret. Maybe that makes it easier. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be playing this major pentatonic scale. And a lot of this, most of what we're going to be doing, even though it's a bluesy gospel kind of feel, is going to be major scale, major pentatonic. And I'll explain the difference between those two. So the song is in 6/8 time. And so when we count it in, we go 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. And then I come in with this little pickup that goes. So you would count it like this: 1, 2, 3. And it comes in like that. And you'll hear that in the click track as you're playing along with it. It counts in, I think, 4 times, so you have time to prepare for it. And then you can play along. You can play the version of me playing it just to kind of get the timing of when that comes in. So, so that's how I started, and that's where those notes come from, is that major pentatonic scale, pattern 1 for the key of C. So that's on the 5th fret, 4th string, do a hammer on to the 7th fret on the 4th string, then we come up to the 5th fret, 3rd string, do another hammer on to the 7th fret, and then land on the 5th fret, 3rd string. And then I go, and that's where it goes to that E7. And what I'm doing there, you could either bend that, but what I did was I slid up from the 7th fret to the 9th fret on the 3rd string, and slid back down. And then the song goes to the A minor, and I go. Now look at all these notes that I'm playing. They're right in that major pentatonic scale. So I hope that you start to realize that you can start noodling around with any of these licks that you know already and start plugging them into this, and try it. Try playing along with the jam check and you'll see how it works. So we have, and then I come to that's what you call a pre-bend release. So you go ahead and pre-bend the string and then release it when you pick it. That's on the 7th fret, 3rd string. And then I come down to the 5th fret, 3rd string. All it's very easy notes here. And then I went, and that's a great lick. I mean, all of these are little takeaways, and I hope you can start applying these to your own playing. But when we go to the 5th fret, 3rd string, I do a hammer on from the 5th fret to the 7th fret, and then my middle finger comes down to the 7th fret, 4th string. I use that lick a lot. It works great, obviously, in major pentatonic scale, minor pentatonic scale. But it's just a real easy little lick to play, and it's kind of unexpected, I think. Then I came up and went, and look at that. Now I'm sliding up to pattern 2. So pattern 1 is there. We're sliding here now, sliding my middle finger up to the 7th fret, 3rd string, index finger to the 8th fret, middle finger to the 9th fret, 3rd string, and then index finger to the 8th fret, 2nd string. And look at that, that's pattern 2. So I'm just playing those 2 notes out of it. So I hope that you start to visualize this and realize this is the stuff you already know. We're just playing it in the major pentatonic scale instead of the minor stuff. If you played it in minor pentatonic scale the whole time, it'd be too rich. That's just my opinion. You could do it, but it would be too much. It's like too much of a good thing. So you can always work in a little minor pentatonic here and there and experiment with it when you're playing along with the jam track, but too much goes a little bit goes a long way. Now I came down and went. Now that sounds different, and the reason for that is we're getting out of the major pentatonic scale and thinking major scale. And just adding this note, that note is not in that major pentatonic scale, but it's one of the 2 notes that is in the major scale. Major pentatonic looks like that, right? The major scale, it's just do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, but that's one of the extra notes. There's your other one. So you got this note and then this note to work in to your major pentatonic scale, if that's how you think about it, to color it in a better way. So, and what I did there was 5th fret, 2nd string to the 6th fret, 2nd string, and then I did 2 bends, 2 full bends. So that's going from the 6th fret all the way up to the 8th fret when you're bending. And then I came down and went. And that's just 5th fret, 2nd string, 7th fret, 3rd string, 6th fret, 2nd string. I just thought that sounded really nice. And I've heard that from like an Eric Carmen song or something. It's from something else, but okay, let's take it from the beginning. 1, 2, 3. just 6th fret to 5th fret on the 2nd string. Then I came up here, and that's going right back to pattern 2. But then I come, so I come to the 9th fret 3rd string, 8th fret 2nd string, 10th fret 2nd string, did a half bend. A really nice bluesy feel there. And look at where you're at here. This is kind of an interesting place to me, because what you're doing is you're in major pentatonic scale-ville. Think of it that way, right? You're pattern 2 there, but look at that. When you do that half bend, you're hitting one of the notes in the minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1 for C. So if I were to want to take that further, I could go. You can see that I could go right into that minor pentatonic scale because it's right there. I'm in it. I'm in the middle of it. See it? I mean, hopefully that you can see that even though we're in the major pentatonic scale, we're in the middle of the minor pentatonic scale. So the next lick goes. Then I come right up to the 1 string, and that's a hammer-on between the 8th fret and the 10th fret. And then I went just a full bend from the 10th fret and release it and just hit that note. So altogether that little. And then there's this little walk down that happens. You'll hear the piano doing that. The notes go from a C to a B, down to an A, down to a G, to an F, and then it walks back up to a C. And what I do there to kind of mirror that on the guitar is I played. Now that sounds complicated, but you can see what I'm doing. I'm just tracing notes out of that major pentatonic scale. But I'm playing double stops, so I'm playing 2 notes at the same time. So what I do, the way I start that is the 8th fret, barring the first 2 strings, and do a hammer-on to the 10th fret 2nd string, playing both strings. And then I come down with my middle finger to the 9th fret 3rd string. See how what we played was pattern 2 of the major pentatonic scale? And then I went. That's just walking right back down to pattern 1. So we're going to play strings 2 and 3, index fingers on the 8th fret 2nd string, middle fingers on the 9th fret 3rd string. Slide it down to the 7th fret 3rd string. So 7th fret 3rd string, 5th fret 3rd string, 7th fret 4th string. So from here we have. And then I went. And that's just barring the first 3 strings on the 5th fret, playing strings 2 and 3, doing a hammer on to the 7th fret 3rd string, 5th fret 3rd string, 7th fret 4th string. You can see these are all just those notes there in those 2 scale, or in that major pentatonic scale, 2 patterns I should say. And then I went. So that was just barring the, let's see, the first 4 strings on the 5th fret. I'm playing strings 4 and 3, doing a hammer-on between the 4th, on the 4th string, between the 5th fret and the 7th fret, like this. And then I went to resolve on the C. So that's just strings 4 and 3, do the little hammer on there, and then we move the bar up one more, so I'm getting the first 5 strings now. And I'm going to play strings 5 and 4, and I do a hammer on to the 7th fret 5th string. Sounded complicated maybe, but when you break it down you just realize, oh, I'm just tracing the, pattern 2 and pattern 1. And I'm emphasizing where the notes would be. So as the bass walks down on the piano and the bass guitar, I'm just emphasizing those. And then there's a little turnaround that goes from an F to a G, and I played it like that. And that, all I'm doing is I'm playing an F chord right here instead of playing it down here. Since I was already here, it's very easy to come up and grab that where you're barring the first 4 strings there on the 5th fret. Ring finger goes down on the 7th fret, 4th string. Middle finger goes down on the 6th fret, 2nd string. And I did a hybrid thing where I picked the 4th string and then I plucked with my ring finger on the 2nd string. You don't have to do that. You could just use your pick. But I went. So that's a F, G. And then I come up to the C up here. And that'll go into the second video where we go over the second half. Now I know that's a lot of information, but hopefully you see all I was doing was really just playing in the major pentatonic scale. And that one little instance I go into the major scale, so that note isn't in the pentatonic. But other than that, it's just major pentatonic stuff you already know, or a lot of you already know. And if you don't know it, just experiment with it. There's only 5 notes. And see what you can do with playing over that jam track. Just take a few notes. If you can't do the stuff that I'm doing, figure out what you can do. And even if you just trace the notes of the scale, that's a great way to start to help develop your ear and help you start to connect the dots as to how this stuff all works. Okay, so from the beginning we have 1, 2, 3. And then we'll end it there. So that's where we're going to end part 1. I'll see you in part 2 for the second half.